That's why even like our NFT that we're offering in this this new manifestation, it's an experience to even make it. Like we build the experience into letting you make your character. Like something I've always wanted to do as a kid, like make my own video game character. Okay, we're gonna let you. That's gonna be what we make in a year. Instead of like making 50 like cute PFP projects that we could, because we have like, you know, little cloud characters and rainbows and stars and all these things that are like out there that are cute characters, and put hats on all of them. We're gonna like try to move the whole space forward with this first project, you know, and that's what we try to do in every medium. You know, it's like it doesn't end for us because we're so excited and so impassioned by this.
What's up, guys? Full house today. How we doing?
That's right. The gang is back. Today we have some very special guests, Friends With You. So it's a duo comprised of Samuel Borkson and Arturo Sandoval III. These guys are seasoned mixed media artists with a career spanning 20 years, from massive international installations to collaborations with various fashion brands, like the very notable watches with Guess. What's really special about these guys is that it's mission-driven art, always centered around bringing more joy, kindness, and love to the world. They've also done collaborations with Pharrell, Diplo. They even designed Balvin's stage for Coachella and his Arcoiris tour. So all in all, these guys are incredible. They're right at the beginning of, they've already dropped fRiendsiES 001, but are about to be bringing fRiendsiES at scale to the world. So really excited to dive into that today. What stood out to you guys? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, look, like these guys have been in the mix. Like I can tell you, like the number of hours that Sam has logged in Twitter Spaces, like these guys don't just speak about community, they live that. And they've really been at the ground zero for the kind of nascent community that's developed around the NFT space and now made that jump from URL to IRL. It's been really awesome to see them contribute to the space in the way that they have. And I think they have some really interesting insights, you know, coming in from the traditional side and seeing how the space has evolved really quickly since they made their entry point. How about you, Ale?
Man, what I really love about them is like how community centric they are and how much they value the joy of community, right? Like Sam and Terry are consistently in Twitter Spaces. They're always supporting other members of the community, uplifting. They bring the good vibes, you know. But I also love that they're all about business at the same time. They know how to balance the creative side with the business side. You know what I mean? They understand that their brand influences, it has movement, it has behind it, but also it can uplift so many other people. And I've seen it firsthand how much they've helped. You know, I've been a fan of them growing up in West Broward, similar to where they have been for over 15, 20 years. So like just this conversation alone is once again NFTs changing lives and making dreams come true.
Yeah, no, truly special episode. Before we dive in, do want to encourage you guys to check out, if you haven't already, our YouTube channel. We have an awesome series, Behind the Drop, where we chronicle the creative journey leading into various drops. You can check that out at youtube.com/NFT now. But without any further ado, let's get into this week's episode with Friends With You.
Sam, Turi, how you guys doing? Great to see you.
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Excited to have you on the NFT Now podcast.
This is awesome. Very exciting. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had some like really like incredible people on the last podcast, so we're like happy to be like part of this. And you guys are just such a clear, great voice constantly in this space. So happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate that, and happy to have you here as well. So let's dive into it. You know, for our listeners who may not know, tell us a little bit about the backstory behind Friends With You. Like, how did it start? How did you guys get to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we kind of been creating Friends With You since like 2001 together. And it started as like being like growing up in this like new internet age and like being like seeing all the art in the world and seeing none of it at the same time, growing up in like, you know, like South Florida at the time, which like really didn't have like much fine art or contemporary art influence, you know. And we were like, how do we like reach everybody? And like we're like, okay, we'll start a company like on the internet that's fine art, you know, and start making these like plush dolls and like that can like help people's lives or help people feel a little bit better, you know. And like at the beginning of it was like just this purpose of like, how do we just like battle the isolation and sadness and craziness that everybody's feeling it, and almost use like our own psycho magic to create a realm and world and perspective that the universe is friends with you. And that was kind of like what each of the projects like led to, was like, how is everything helping you? Like, instead of like how everything hurts, is like, how is the universe helping? How is everybody around you like loving you? And how can we love ourselves? And that kind of like unveiled itself little by little throughout the many years of making installations and these communal gatherings. And you know, it's been like, 20 years of us like working together, but we also feel we're just getting started now. So it's like, it feels like we've been like in like wizard training, and now we're really like able to like create anything that we dream of, and like also like open doors for others and support others, and have a platform to like do good, the best we can in the world.
I absolutely love that. Wizards in training. Like, speaking of magic and speaking of creating some beautiful worlds, let's talk about your transition from your traditional art career into the Web3 space.
Yeah, I mean, like how Sam said, we think that this is all like kind of like is the merger of all these disciplines that's really interesting to us. We really don't try to like fracture that much. What really is interesting to us is really like that singular kind of like purpose that drives every like project, and it really is how do we create work, either be digital or in real life or physical or not, that does make our lives as humans a little bit more connected. And so I think that like the Web3 like kind of transition has been a natural kind of like progression for us, because we really like how Sam said it. Like our first project was actually distributed through a website. It was like our first outing into the world. Is really like, it was definitely Web 1.0 or close to like very early too, but it was definitely like right at the beginning of it. So we work in a multitude of like mediums, and digital kind of like art is definitely has informed our work all through our career, and this transition into that like Web3 is almost like a very like natural way for us to progress the idea of Friends with You, which is really like not only like how do we help people, but it was also how do we do work in a more democratic kind of like way, and very accessible to everyone. That's been core to everything that we've done. So even though we do have like artworks that are very expensive and more in the fine art like realms, it's almost like in the crystal like the artist kind of like philosophy, where that work to some degrees like finances our endeavors to actually make work for everyone. So this work is definitely like something that we feel is very much in tune with that philosophy. Like, how do we make something that is unique and it is powerful, but that it is somehow democratic in the sense that anyone could really like be accessing this new technology of the FRIENDSiES, which is kind of like a very new venture for not just Web3, but just even we feel like we're innovating inside of the Web3 like space with this FRIENDSiES like release. You'll be able to actually build on chain an actual character. You'll be able to like actually experience like the actual creation of this character, and then ongoing, this character will be like your friend that will be hanging out with you in the metaverse. You will eventually have a relationship with these characters, and in the future will be an AR AI implementation. So this is all going to be stages of the project, but this is all very much only doable through this new kind of like web existence of 3. So like it's very exciting to us.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. And I think we're all really excited about the FRIENDSiES project. It was great getting to have kind of FRIENDSiES 0001 at the Gateway, partnership with Christie's at Art Basel that we had together. I know we're right at the beginning of kind of the big, another auction with Christie's, as well as the big public mint. You guys have really grand ambitions, an amazing mission of really imparting lots of positivity through all of your art and the interactions you want your art to provide with people. Be curious if you could really just break down the roadmap a little bit more granularly as to what people can expect, what some of the utility that's coming along with the project.
Yeah. So I mean, like, we've been gamifying and this concept from a year ago. Like, we feel the whole thing is a game, and we want to make it like exciting and valuable, and like also like thinking about art collectors and constantly like wanting them to like earn and set like the values and things like that. So it's kind of been like planned from, you know, once we started like with like the whole even Nifty drop, like it was like we were also already thinking in the future like that we wanted to create this thing that we had created in the past, that was this first AI project that we had done, that was called Light Spirit. So if you look up like Friends with You Light Spirit, you'll see we made this like cute little ghost spirit, that really made an emotional like connection with a human. And when we exhibited this, like we saw people getting so emotional, like even friends of ours like cuddling this AI and crying, you know, like deep emotional connections through AI. So it got us so interested in the technology. And then we understood like that like Web3 was like a possibility to like be the like very entrance of this. So like how we've laid out like this roadmap is that like this basically like what we wanted to innovate was just the experience of the birthing of this like soul character. So we wanted to make this like character builder, and we think where a lot of our ingenuity in the beginning comes from these amazing developers that we're working with, that we like put our vision like exactly what we wanted to do, and we found people that were able to do that. So like in the beginning, I feel like you get value just from the experience of being able to create your own like identity, your own frenzy, like your soulmate, like your own PFP. And it will be used for all of those. So after you create your frenzies and you mint it, whether you do it in the Christie's auction, for instance, then you'll create it, and then we'll be creating like bronzes for the, you know, the rest of the 9 pieces. And then after that, after you have like your frenzies, you'll be able to come and get not only a PFP, which is like, you know, like a nice portrait of it to be able to use, but you'll be able to like actually like look at it in 3D, like on OpenSea. So we'll have like OpenGL possibilities. But then beyond that is the first steps of it, of being able to bring this into the metaverse, as like 2D was mentioning. And like not only like do we have like ideas for what we want our game to be and the many steps that we'll take it to, or application, or whatever the frenzies is going to be, but in the interim, like we'll be offering these things, your own creation, that you can bring into the metaverse as representations of you. So all along the way, like you're earning and playing while we get to the creation of our ultimate vision, which is as the SDKs have been going out for AR, we feel that it's like very, very close thing to be having like mixed realities. And our ultimate vision down the line for 2 to 3 years is like that we have our frenzies that come everywhere with us, you know, like when you're having lunch with your friends and you're all sitting like together, your frenzies could be like dancing like on the table and like hanging out. And mine, since I've been like a kind person and working in this like benevolent kind of economy, which is like the reward system, maybe I was able to buy a brand new dance for my frenzies. I could teach your frenzies this new dance, and they're all doing a choreographed dance together. But you know, we have like the vision of this being like this very simple game application that is basically like an earning and kindness system, that is like once again like using this PFP and this like AI to not only make positive interactions with artificial intelligence, but also with AR and hopes for the future that is actually like very close and really in real time developing it. So like from each segment of like the frenzies is going to be like an exciting moment. And like, you know, we've seen that this space has only been alive for like a year, you know, and we see a lot of promises of creating IPs and different things like that, but we're like in the business of doing that. Like we love that. That is like our deepest passion, is making IPs that take many years and making them as incredible as possible. And we've had like successes in the world. So like we have high hopes of being like you know, proven like like artists that are forever type of builders, like how we're excited about Yuga Labs and they're acquiring all these people and that they can possibly build these IPs. Like we've done that, you know, like we can't wait to like compete and show you our product and like and push the space. Like we're coming with all of our love and intention and the deep like wanting to push Web3, bring in mass adoption. we believe so much like in the space, and we put like so much energy and thought into making this vision. So like each step of it, we feel will be, you know, like really, really like, hopefully like pushing like other artists to see like what we're doing and raise the bar to like just make this better, and like show people that it takes years to make like incredible IPs, you know, and that's okay. Like, you know, and we want to continue doing this in like all different spaces, you know, at the same time that we're creating this thing and it's one of our top priorities, we're making other television shows that will be like the new Muppets and, you know, live action things. So it's like we're giving to culture like all of our heart to make like humanity like better in all these different ways. And this is like one of our top priorities because we see the potential of Web3, you know. So that's a little bit of our roadmap. But aside from roadmap, like we're just like believe in ourselves and like the art that we make, and we also want to be like breaking ground for other artists to be like, yo, you're the artist, you're the roadmap. Like create art your whole life and come to it with integrity and love, and like you don't need to explain every detail granularly of what you're doing if you're just going to be creating awesome stuff and bringing all your love and putting the best into this project, you know. So we like the work to speak for itself, even though we've put out roadmaps because we've learned from the space that people want to be clear about what it is. Like we just know that we like to make art and we'll deliver as long as we're alive, you know, like on all of the things that we're making, you know. So
for sure. And I know you guys have put a ton of time and thought into the project. Obviously, you know, there's been some debate in the community around the price point for the Dutch auction for fRiENDSiES, some Twitter fingers at play for sure. How would you like to address those concerns?
I mean, we have addressed them to some degrees. Like we've changed the dynamics of the Dutch auction. Like we've sped up the actual like decreasing of the pricing. So like we did that. We did lower the pricing of the start of the Dutch auction to reflect to some degrees like what was happening at that time with the Golden Cloud key that we like kind of like took into consideration. So we have addressed that, but you know, to some degrees, like that's the beauty of a Dutch auction is that it is going to settle into like what it needs to be and like what the market bears at that time and what the project really is. And so we have faith that it's going to sort itself out into being like, you know, fair for the people that are investing. And I think like that the dynamics of actually this project is that, you know, I think that like it should be like that you're investing in this very wholesome kind of like future for the whole thing to hold and support the project and for us to be able to see through the vision that we're like kind of putting forward, as opposed to like something that is a little bit more transient or like that it feels like it's more of an asset that is just going to be like moved. So I feel like that like to that degree, like the project itself is unique, and we see it like that is something that the value is going to come from actually owning the asset for a long period of time, and there'll be added value to that dynamics. Like and we have a whole multitude of ways of doing that, and that we're really crafting on our side with our devs and how to actually reward the actual owners of the NFT by just owning it, and the ongoing like investment into that ecosystem is really what we're focusing right now. Even before even minting, we're already thinking of, okay, what are we going to give next and next and next? So that's really the focus, and what kind of keeps motivating us is knowing that we're doing the best that we can, and that the actual first offering, the engine that we've built to be able to actually make your own NFT is already like, it's so cool. We're at least to this day, no one has really done that, and at least to the degree that we're like offering it. So we're very excited about that, and we'll see like what happens with the auction and how that pans out. But yeah, we've done our best to address it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like when we got into this space, we're like artists. Like we had no idea like about a Dutch auction. Like that was like the space telling us like how to like make the most like best consensus of where this like people find the value of this thing. Like this is like very intelligent people, like many conversations telling us how best to like make this art and like take the money like and put it in the artist's hands, like the visionaries like hands versus like just flipper hands. Like what is the value of your art? Do you believe in your art forever and the value that it will continue to have for your whole life? Or are you just trying to trick people in the meantime? Like, and I feel a lot of the people that were putting their voice out there were like people that have been like tricking people and have been scammers, and they're afraid of maybe what we represent, like doing this holistically. We haven't paid for like one follower. We haven't paid for like any suggested things. Like it's all been like authentic interactions. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these projects come in with like a Twitter of like all of a sudden 100,000 people. You've never heard of it, and it's like, how did they get 100,000 people? Like people are paying money for those things, and people just follow like big numbers, follow a big number, follow a big number, and we're trying to be like, yo, like we're real humans, artists, putting our like whole life into this, being changed and making the best art we've ever made through this technology. You know what I'm saying? Like these devs have like upped our art to the point where we're playing with the builder and being like, we could never dream of something so beautiful, that our art could be so amazing, and that the collector will be able to make this new version of our art that's more amazing than we even like dreamed of, you know? And we just feel that we're bridging all of these types of gaps and allowing people to be artists and doing all these different things. Like, so we feel there's a huge value in that. I don't feel any of these other projects have done that are like from 0 to 100 ETH. And I feel like we're worth that. And we're starting it at a Dutch auction where it can go from 3.3 down to 0.1, and people will decide it. If it doesn't go, and most of them go at 0.1, we're happy with that. Like we know the value is going to be there, and those people that got them at 0.1 will get like tons of value. You know, like we're like happy for however it goes down. Like we can't wait to see it like all go down. You know, it's like and people that are critics, like you don't have to buy everything in the scene. Also, you don't have to buy the most popular thing or things that people are talking about. Like you don't believe in us. You don't believe in our 20 years of making installations, like, and doing all these things that we've been doing, our TV shows we made, like, opt out. Peace, like, enjoy yourself, like, all love. Like, you don't like our kawaii cutie things, like, buy another kawaii cutie things. There's many of them, like, whatever. It's all love, you know? Like, we don't have any beef, like, at all. Don't hold anything against those people that didn't do their research or didn't understand also, too, you know?
I love it. I love it. No, excited to see it. I think the community, like we're super excited about the project, and I think a lot of people will be too. So I'm curious, like, you guys have been experimenting and leveraging all sorts of different mediums throughout your career as artists. I'm curious, like, what inspired you about NFTs as a medium? And then also, too, it's like, I mean, you're not just hearing about NFTs now. Like, you didn't rush out an NFT project just for the sake of doing it. So, like, what makes now the time you're excited to finally really unleash this project to the world?
Yeah, that's a lot. You want to start, Devin?
Yeah, I mean, part of like the interesting, I think that like Sam touched on it, like how we got to like the actual project, which is super interesting. It was really through like an art project that we did with this AI, and I feel like that is that's kind of like what's amazing about art in general, is that it really is like when you're doing it, you know, the term like art for art's sake, that's not commercial art. That project that we did was truly an art for art's sake project. It was just an experiment for us to see like how this VR technology could really like overlap with our kind of vision and our own like philosophy of how the human existence itself. So I feel like once we did that project and we saw how powerful AI, very simple scripted, even like at that time, like 5-6 years ago, AI, and how powerful that is, that really like stuck with us. And that is the magic of art, is that you create something, you show it, the world gives you feedback, you assess it, you like retain it, and then that's somehow is like that nugget of knowledge is somewhere in your like heart, and then it comes out again when it needs to. That's kind of like the experiment of art, you know? And I feel like that this, once we really understood it at the beginning, when this whole NFT things like started happening, it was still a little bit like, it was so much like happening at the same time that it was hard to really see like what the actual plan of the future of the whole NFT is. And I think like the more that we understood that, then we saw that this was the right fit. That the idea of being able to own an actual like digital entity, like long term, and the actual asset, and how we could like build like an actual like utility around the asset that you own now, and our involvement as artists ongoing with that actual like ownership, that was once we understood all of that, we were like, okay, this FRiENDSiES is it. We want to do exactly what we did 6 years ago, but now do it at scale. And that's kind of like really what the project is. It's really like, eventually when you're able to have this genuine like emotional interaction with a simple AI, either being the like first manifestations of Metaverse, whoever like goes at scale will be there. Like that's what we're promising, that we're going to be growing with a space, growing with technology that is agnostic to, we're not going to be in one or the other. It's whomever gets to scale, we're going to try to be there and deliver the FRiENDSiES inside of that technology. So that's really like kind of like what makes the whole thing really like worth it to us, and like really like the hard work that it is to actually make this kind of project is not for the faint of heart, and it's definitely not. It's something that definitely has to be fueled by purpose, and this is definitely the case for this project.
Without a doubt, guys. And like one thing that I have to note is like for our audience and our community who's listening, like Sam and Terry have been incredible supporters of the NFT community at large, right? Like each of you is always on the Twitter spaces, the GMs on Twitter as well, showing up to events, making sure you're showing love to everyone, from the native Web3 artist all the way to the new up-and-comers. You guys have been really instrumental to the vibes of the space, right? And I love how vocal you guys have been to addressing a lot of the issues that come up in this space, right? Everything from rug pulls to dope art to underserving communities and things of that capacity. You guys have always been kind of like a beacon in our space, and so thank you so much for that. And the reason why I mention this to our community and to our listeners is because I want to get your perspective of how do you feel the NFT space has changed over the past year? Has it been for better? Has it been for worse?
I feel like it's all for the better. Like, as confusing and weird as it sounds, it's such an important thing that I feel like the ugliness of the learning and the roots will not be like what the beautiful flowers are that are blossomed from these moments, you know? And I don't know if that makes sense at all, but it's like I feel that as we are artists and we like become artists together and trudge through the, you know, building and money and interest and, you know, ugly scams and rug pulls and bad actors and all this stuff, like as we sort all this stuff out, is like, you know, there's something that's prevailing. And I feel that the thing that's prevailing is like a new way, like a new lane for artists, a new like way for like how we can run governments, like a new way for like how to act as like human beings to self-govern. And like those like weird and like, you know, weird like breaking things that are like happening and bad feelings that are happening are just like our growing pains, is like what I see mostly, you know. And like we see like more and more interest from the major cultural makers of the world looking at like what we're all doing in here. And we believed in it from the beginning. We're like before we even knew the power of what this could be, like we raised like with our first Nifty drop, when we knew nothing, we raised like hundreds of thousands of dollars for like charities with our very first of that Nifty things. Like we were like, holy macaroni, like that's crazy. Like we raised more than like any of the solid charities like we've done. Like we've done charity work for years, and we give like a sculpture, a painting, and it gets like $20,000-$50,000 something, but we've never raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in like 3 minutes for charities, you know. And we're like, this is a medium, and that's where we thought that this is a medium could be like a amazing solution, tech meeting art. And it's just like the very beginning of this. So I feel like it's like good, the bad, and the ugly, and we have to like look at it all and see it all. And the reason why I've been there for this community is like because I feel it's like every human's like right to like have a good life in this world, you know. Like it's every human's like right to feel good and feel happy and not feel that they're oppressed by every part of their society, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to pay for a place to live and how to get your food and how to work. Like it's like it can all be so difficult. Or we could be this like huge supportive organism that like like makes a historical moment together. And that's why we're really like excited about like what Web3 is and why we support like it's so much with like all of our hearts, you know.
I love everything that you guys have done, you know, specifically around that self-reflection of like, we've never been able to do X in this space, and we want to bring it to that space, right? Like you guys are kind of like the perfect example of right? Like the real world and the digital world, the fine art and NFTs. So from that perspective, guys, like how have you individually, what have you transformed personally as artists in this medium? What have you learned about yourself as a creator, as a human being through the NFT space that you didn't know before?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that like I feel like that one thing that is definitely like I don't know if this is like a lesson, but it is something that's like very tangible, is that this kind of like revolution like that is happening, like it's almost like this younger like kind of like demographic that is trying to like forge a new kind of like existence in this like world, you know. And I think that like um even though we're not young anymore, you know, we're definitely not like in the smack center of the actual like bracket of the really who's leading this like space. It really feels like that we're trying to like stay attuned to that as artists, and artists like always have to be like looking into the future, and it's very much part of like what we're trying to do is like, okay, this is the revolution. Like if you look at the demographic and like how they're spending that time, they are playing games, they're using digital assets a lot more than in real life, and like and we also want to support like real life and existence and the art world. So it's like, how do we merge those two like kind of like spheres? And this is like the FRiENDSiES is really like a merger between like the real life sphere and the digital sphere. And there, it's something that's very interesting to us is also like, you know, there's no like escaping that eventually like we will have to be like augmented through artificial intelligence, and you know, this is almost like an onboarding like ramp for like what the future would be like of a coexistence with like AI. So there's a lot of like those things are like maybe are not as apparent on the first read of the project, but that's really like what's really fueling our interest, what's really fueling like the development that we're doing behind scenes of like what the project's going to be in the future, and what's what we're building even now as an original asset that you're going to get. It really is like the bones and the soul, like how Sam said before, of what is to come. So, and this is a very important, you know, the birthing stage is a very important stage. So we're kind of like really focused on that, and how that translates to like what we have learned is really like the dynamics of the space and the dynamics of like that it isn't that you're selling just like a piece of art and that the relationship ends. Like when we saw a painting, to some degrees the relationship between us and the painting is like severed, maybe sometimes forever. And this is like an ongoing kind of like relationship between us and the actual art that we're selling. So this is a new kind of like system that we're trying to like, you know, process and really get in tune with and create support with, and you know, running a Discord like it's its own thing, and like really starting to like settle into this new economy, and this new kind of like not just an economy as in terms of traditional economy in the sense of like there is a give and a take between the collectors and the makers that is ongoing. So all of that is kind of like new. It feels like there's a new kind of like paradigm there of collecting art that is to some degrees like different from the traditional art world. So,
yeah, and the project reflects that. Like we're allowing you to make like the art. Like we're allowing our collectors to be the artists. Like that's the first major thing that we thought of.
Yeah.
We're like everybody here is artists. And like even making like the Discord, like a major thing we learned, just to keep answering like what was Tudy was saying, is like we learned that we have an army of like people that want to be kind, good doers, helpers, that are making their own art, that are powerful people, that aren't like obsessed with like floor number or volume or the financial part, but like really into the art, like being a part of this, like not just making your frenzies and all the awesome things that will come with it, which we're very excited about, but they're like our community is like good people. They're like kind people. They're like and I feel like that's kind of like the behaviors and things that we wanted to like most support and be around us, you know. Like we didn't want to like have the FOMO and hype thing. We wanted to like really change that. And I think what we learned about ourselves is that like really like what we have been doing, like this heartfelt true thing can still be successful in this like FOMO crazy world of like insanity of projects. Like, get on my whitelist for this thing right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we want to be like a different thing. We want the product to like stand out. Like we want the humans that buy the product to stand out. You know what I'm saying? Like it is a deeper connection than like we've had in a lot of like other circumstances. You know, it's a real garden, that is what we call it. You know, like that affects us and we affect it. We want every FRiENDSiES to be amazing. We want every other project that we do in our garden, like our other TV shows, our other businesses that are like Humanity Forward or like Fighting Food Deserts and all that stuff, to like all be powering FRiENDSiES, and likewise. And the people in FRiENDSiES to be getting powered by all the other stuff we do in culture, and FRiENDSiES be powered by them and the amazing art that they make, or other projects or things and families or whatever they're invested into. It's more of a giving and taking, I feel like in the truest sense, not like giving to see what you get, which I feel has been like a lot of the first things we've seen like in Web3 is like what do I get from this? Like, I didn't get $20,000. I'm mad. Like, it's like, nah, like we're going to be artists together now. And that's kind of like the thing we're trying to set the tone of, is like that we can all be like artists, you know? And like, we can't really wait to see like what people make. Like we made like thousands of like pieces of art that we are so in love with all of them that when we're playing with it, as I mentioned, we're like giggling. Like we're playing with this thing, pressing random and putting our characters together and changing the heads and changing the sprouts and the back pieces and literally giggling at how funny and how fun it is. And we're like, we would never make that. It's like the funniest, best, like ugliest or best or stupidest or funniest, like things that like push our idea of like what we ever can make with our art. So it's like, that's, I think, what we're learning, continue learning. Like we're learning by the minute, which is like exciting for us as artists, you know? So I feel we've learned a lot, but there's a lot to learn. So I hope that that's concise answer your question.
Love that. And, you know, it's love that. It's great, though. You know, I mean, you think about it, it's like all of us kind of came together to really get to know each other on Twitter originally, like Twitter Spaces, like at a time when like a lot of like this community couldn't connect IRL, right? Due to COVID, due to everything. This like really formative period for the NFT space. And it, you know, that's why it was one of many reasons why it was really special to have you at our event, The Gateway, with Christie's during Basel, to debut and exhibit, you know, your Genesis FRiENDSiES sculpture. And just like seeing that moment of like bringing together like the URL and the IRL and people like meeting for the first time and like felt like we already knew each other pretty much. And so I'm curious to just get your thoughts on like what that was like, and also like what are your thoughts on kind of bridging that gap between like URL and IRL as we go forward in the space?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. I mean, that is really like our like sweetest spot. Like we can't wait to like be like bringing people IRL. Like we feel that like both is where the magic is. Like some of our best friends in our life now are people that we spent months talking on like Twitter Spaces with, and we hang out and like we don't like even like have to talk. Like we're like that tight. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of crazy, you know, like all the people that who have come together in this thing, you know. So it's like we haven't been making installation work like since the beginning. Like if you look at our work, like that's the first things that we were making. They made us like no money again. We made them purely for the communal aspect of art making and coming together. And I think you can get that also if you spend like a couple $1 million and you like put together a good event. You can make really fun things. Like Disney World is awesome. Like we hope to like make like those types of like things in the future, you know. And you know, like it's amazing what money can buy. But like the first installations we were putting together was like me and Tootie building fiberglass sculptures that were like slides and stuff like that. Like if you look up Cloud City at the Mocha in 2004, FriendsWithYou Cloud City, like we built every object in that room that was like even pushing fine art back then. Like we thought the fine art world was like stuffy and weird. We're like, why not make a playroom where you can touch everything? And me and Tootie will be two characters like inside of it. We made ourselves these two like like cutie characters based off like some Miyazaki, like like spirits and stuff like that. And we were playing in this thing with like this soundtrack and this ritual that like you moved all these pieces and the humans like around this thing. So it's like we believe experience is like the most important thing, And shortly after we started doing those museum of ice cream things started happening, we're like, oh, that was kind of soulless. That was just like maybe just to get a photo op, So there's these like stale like things that happen that are like these branded activations. But what happens when we make real happenings again? Like in the old art days where we would get together like for a purpose to like commune, to like be a community. And like what do those new rituals look like is always what we've like been like looking at. And we're excited to continue doing that, like very much so, like in the IRL world, and bringing people from this community and like showing them what installation art like is and can be, and that you don't need to have like $1 million like dollars or have like multi-million dollars and put it on like conferences or any kinds of things like that to like build a community. Like you can really like do it like just by getting your friends together at the beginning, like building it like yourselves, like how do you do that, So we're excited to like be bringing those worlds together for sure. We can't wait to like be doing frenzies, IRL events, but also like multi-community things. Like I don't necessarily like that it's like an exclusivity thing. Like all of our installations have always been free like to the public and open, I like the exclusivity like idea of like events, get or exclusivity of some of these projects that gets you things or lets you buy certain like items or gets you access into certain like layers of things. But we also like just making art that the public can come to, like making incredible art that brings value to the frenzies just out of the sheer amazingness of the art, like I don't know. So we're going to experiment with that too. Maybe we're like the opposite of like Bored Ape, even though like we love what they've done and we're learning so much from Bored Ape, like, but there's so many lanes to fill like I feel in this world, and we want to be like the more like kind and accessible and not exclusive, even though we offer exclusive items. You know what I mean? Like I feel that you can be both, like, and that's important to us.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. And I think it's just the intentionality and mission there. Now, I'm curious too, and I think a lot of what you just alluded to will apply to this, but like you've definitely seen multiple phases of art come and go through you guys. I get like 20-year run at this point. I mean, what do you think has really helped keep you and the Friends With You brand relevant?
I mean, that to some degrees has been the easiest part is because like like we really have like this like kind of like yearning to really like develop mechanics to really like basically like it's not just bring people together, because you could bring people together and still be like an unhealthy thing, but it's bring people together through like a set of dynamics that actually make the experience something that's memorable, and that is also layered with something that's positive, and that is also layered with something that's like that marks your life with something that like sticks with you. It's almost like the dynamics of like a ritual or a very powerful like rite of passage, or the dynamics of like really seeing something that's awe-inspiring, or like the idea of like getting away from like the individual, which is kind of like is something that the West has like really like figure out that it was like the ultimate thing to really like craft as the individual. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like bullshit, and really what's the ultimate thing to craft is really like what the similarities are and like what unifies in purpose as an actual group and as a grander group. So really those are the kind of things that really like we philosophize about, and like that really kind of like turn the gears and shape the actual work. Is really like how do we create work, either be an NFT or an installation or everything in between, or a sticker sometimes, but that somehow it really does like fuel that experiment of like how do we create anything, but everything has to like kind of adhere to that purpose of like how do we generate something that people like seem like useful in that degree, almost like in a symbolic kind of like degree that gives you a north to some extent, and we do that by just keeping it like in ourselves, like that kind of like yearning also. Like I feel like it's something that like we live by, like those kind of rules. We're trying to like work ourselves in those kind of like in those kinds of discussions personally, and then with ourselves, between us, and then that is what gets like transferred into the work. The work is really a reflection of our own like internal like struggles and our own internal like kind of uh, like journeys. And our journey has been of like one of like, okay, we're are new in this like world that doesn't have this dynamics that we used to have, that had community, that had a very established like church dynamics, or very established like kind of like mechanics for really like nurturing like your spirit. So we come in and we're like, okay, how do we really redesign those kind of dynamics for the future? And that's really like the purpose of the whole project. It's really like, and design has like negative connotations, but that's bullshit, because design is really just like an assessment of all like kind of like nodes of input, and really coming up with the best kind of like way forward. So that's really like what we're doing. It's like we're doing experiments through art, then getting that feedback from that experiment, churning it, and then like putting it back into the world through a product that is scalable. And in this case, like the dynamics of like the experiment that we did 6 years ago now is manifesting itself through this NFT project that we feel like it will like make lives better.
And just to keep answering your question, is like we have like multiple things that we're like exploring that like inform and inspire like the rest of the things. Like where we're going deeper into the fine art realm is even deeper and crazier and weirder and stranger than like we even know. Like we like keep continuing to try to push ourselves to like be delivering not only like something that's good for the world in these multiple intellectual properties, but beyond being a brand, as two fine artists, two human beings, we're pushing fine art like to the deepest depths of like our soul and like spiritual journey like on this earth. So it's like it's all the things. But that's also like another good thing we feel for artists, is being an example of that like you don't have to just be the artist doing one thing, or what I'm saying, like you can be the artist that like makes art that is a business. Like a business can be your art, like a painting can be your art, a television show can be your art, an installation can be like your art. Like it's like every single thing is like open now, and we're doing those things because we love them, and they just fit our art, all the different mediums and things that we're doing. And we have a lot more that we like want to create and dream of. But it's like everybody has that opportunity. We want to show that to like artists, like that they don't have to just be like, I'm just a painter. Like, and that's the world that we stepped into. That's why we didn't really understand the contemporary fine art world when we were getting started, like with our journey, like 20 years ago. We're like, this is kind of like boring, and like I don't get most of it, and it doesn't make me feel anything. We're like, we want to make people feel everything. Like that's why we'll start with making installations that when you walk in here, it's like a full sensory experience. That's why even like our NFT that we're offering in this new manifestation, it's an experience to even make it. Like we build the experience into letting you make your character. Like something I've always wanted to do as a kid, like make my own video game character. Okay, we're gonna let you. That's gonna be what we make in a year. Instead of like making 50 like cute PFP projects that we could, because we have like little cloud characters and rainbows and stars and all these things that are like out there that are cute characters, and put hats on all of them. We're gonna like try to move the whole space forward with this first project, and that's what we try to do in every medium. It's like it doesn't end for us because we're so excited and so impassioned by this, and we've set our work to be like so fun, so the inspiration doesn't ever run out, and it can keep changing, and that's fun, every aspect of that.
I'm here for all that fun, and thank you so much for like elaborating that so beautifully. Like I'm so excited to build my own frenzies with so many mushrooms. Like I'm gonna go ham on the mushroom like details. Like I'm definitely gonna go ham on this. And I love that intentionality.
You gotta get in there early, bro. You're gonna have to
Bro,
get in
I'm
there
gonna be
early.
there
There's
like
other
white
people
on
that are
rice,
gonna try to
bro.
get
I'm
the
gonna be there
questions.
like on white on rice. I'm blocking out everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get my mushrooms. Don't you worry. On that front, guys, closing it out, and like I love how the intentionality around supporting other people to live out their best lives and making sure that there's joy and fun in the space and being interactive, right? Like I love the subtle ways that you guys challenge your ecosystems and your environments, but sometimes our environments shape us. So with that said, final question of the hour, like who are some up and coming NFT creators that you are like really excited about?
Oh, come on. There's like a billion. Like, who specifically? Do you want to go first or I'll go first? I mean, I love like Gremlin. Like, I love so much of the space. You know what I'm saying? I love like the vibes. You know, like I love like Klon. I love like literally like everybody what they're doing. Like Mason from Alien Friends. I love Justin. Like everybody has become our friends and deep like homies that we want to see them all win. You know, it's like a tight community of people. Like I don't know X copy, but I think that shit is amazing. Like we know people and we like love seeing him win. Like it's like I don't know. There's so much though. There's like people I follow that I can't even pronounce like their handle like Chickature like TXZ like that. Like when I see their art, it like fills me with joy. You know, like I feel that that's where really this is like very exciting is that like the accessibility and like the opening of this to like so many people. You know, it's kind of amazing. Like even seeing like what Nadia is doing, like pushing her political and like art in like certain ways. You know, it's like everybody like is making this and doing their own thing, and it's I don't know. It's exciting to see all of that. Even like the huge winners like Bored Apes and Doodles and like all these other things that are out there. Like it all is good for everybody. Like it's kind of like amazing. Like everybody that's playing right now. I take my hats off to them. Like I love the Hearts guys. Like I love what they're doing, making like actual songs with community members from like major like legendary producers and stuff. And you know, like where everybody's taking it, it's like inspiring. The more that we get to know people, like even the builders and like what Richard's doing. Like I consider him one of the best artists like in there, like making art, the smart contracts that all artists can use it. And like, you know, I don't know, it's kind of like an very inspiring world with a lot of people doing a lot of inspiring things that may not even be just the artists, you know. But I don't know. Do you want to add some?
No, I think that's a lot. But
Well, I think it's a super fun time. Super excited for what you guys have coming up. Congrats on all the progress thus far. And now it's still very early and just at the beginning of a beautiful journey. So best of luck with the mint.
thank you guys. Thank you guys for always like, you know, just kind of like inspiring us also to be like, you know, on guidance, you know, and like the first FriendsWithYou was really like kind of premiere like with you guys in conjunction. So you guys are kind of part of this project at a deep OG level. So thank you so much.
Make us virtually blush out
you guys
here.
a lot.
Love that. Love that.
Well, until next time, gentlemen, take it easy.
Thank you guys.
Also, shout out Crypto Dick, but I mean, I could go on
Crypto
forever. Like,
dick butts,
really.
baby. Let's
Gotta
go.
shout out the dick
It's like
butts.
Dick butts, bro.
Yo, but beyond that, like even the punks, I want to mention, like, yo, the artwork of the punks, like it's like all of it is so important. Like I feel like I know you guys. I guess we're ending it right now, so I'll let it.
No,
I'll
we
let
love
it
it,
go.
bro.
But it's a lot of respect out there. I think it's exciting, you know, like and the artists like fuck Render and like Thank You X and like all the like it was like so many people doing and pushing this thing, you know. It's like it's kind of crazy. It's like when you say like who are you looking at and who do you want to win, like it's like everybody, Jen Stark, keep it going. Like there's like a million friends that are like paving this way and people are watching them and paving new ways, you know, like so I feel it's working, you know. That's one thing I want to say is like I think we're on a good track.
Hallelujah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for your time. Keep up the great work. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Later.
Wow, that was a great episode. Really love those guys. I think they're bringing just so much intentionality to the space and really unleashing a lot of just kind of really finding some new ways to express themselves creatively within the medium at its fullest potential. What stood out to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's just great to hear them speak about their journey, their thoughts around the NFT space, and how it, as a creative medium, just like opens up this whole new canvas for them. They've always been, cross-medium. They've always tried out new things. They've always flexed their artistic muscles across different verticals. And like, they're real ones in the community. Like, I appreciated them addressing, the community concerns around the drop. I think that they showed that they had like a plan of action based on that they listened to the concerns and responded to them in turn. So like, I just really appreciate that about them. How about you, Ale?
Yeah, very similar to you, man. I think like that whole quote is like the survival goes to the person who knows how to evolve or like change quickly or adapt to change. And like they've been a prime example of that. Like when I think of Friends With You, especially around their adaptability, it's like similar to what Snoop Dogg has done through his career. Like the evolution of it, easily adaptable, has been really amazing. And I also love how much love they bring to the community space, right? Also highlighting all these different projects that they're celebrating, all these things that inspire them and motivate them, and how much their humility around like coming in with open-minded and being open to learning, right? Like so many established artists have a really difficult time transitioning to mediums or different industries because they feel like they've made it. But Friends With You, Sam and Terry, they're just taking it like as beginner mindset. That's what really stood out to me.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Well, check out their project if you haven't already. Follow them across socials at Friends With You. Really appreciate your support. Continue to tune in. We'll be back next week. Until then, we out.